Alright, so by now I think we know what's going on here. Genesys reviews. 30 minutes. Let's go. So this is the Dragons Collide structure deck. The theme given here is Chaos and Dragons. Chaos has become a pretty familiar archetype at this point, being that you add light and dark to get it. And they, oddly enough, being opposites, they simultaneously oppose and mesh together. And I'm not certain when exactly it started, possibly due to the cards Chaos Emperor Dragon and Yugi's Chaos Soldier. I forget the name at the moment. And so here we are. It's kind of started to culminate to this, and this deck actually is quite the heavy hitter. But let's see if it's too much of a heavy hitter that it necessitated putting points onto it. So, interestingly enough, this deck seems to have two boss monsters, starting with, on the light end, Light Pulsar Dragon. Let's see, can be special summoned by banishing one of each attribute. Sorry, light and dark from the graveyard. Let's see, from the hand. Okay, so you can special summon it from the graveyard by banishing from the hand. You can special summon it from the grave by you can special summon it from the hand by banishing from the grave, or by sending. Okay, so it uses light and dark monsters, either discarding or banishing to special summon it from the hand or from the graveyard. And when sent from the field to the grave, you can special summon a level 5 or higher dark dragon type monster from the graveyard. So this is less of an end board piece and more of a combo piece, but that in and of itself makes it pretty powerful. Plus, it also rivals Skull Archfiend in power, because it also is a level 6, a 2500 attack. So I think the paradigm shift really starts here, because way back before everyone started special summoning, the most powerful monster in Yu-Gi-Oh! Was Summoned Skull. That was the name I was looking for. Because it was a level 6 for 2500 attack. One tribute, 2500 attack, was very powerful back then. So, yeah, I don't think there's much more to be said about that. Let's see. I wonder if... Here we go. Where are you? Light Pulsar. Here we are. Okay. And then, for its other half, we got Dark Flare Dragon. And it has a similar effect. However, you can only special summon it from the hand with a light and dark monster. And once per turn, you can send a dragon from the hand and a dragon monster from the deck to the grave to target a card in either graveyard and banish that target. The only thing that could make that more powerful is if you made it a quick effect, so that you can respond to your opponents to banish a monster, much like DD Crow. But this also is still a powerful combo piece, and also has very great stats for its level. So it too is pretty powerful. Let's see here. Dark Flare Dragon. Was it? Here we go. Then, to bring the two together, they bring in Eclipse Wyvern. If sent to the graveyard, you banish a level 7 or higher light or dark very type monster from the deck. If this card is banished from the graveyard, you can add the monster banished by this card's effect to your hand. So we're seeing a lot of powerful combo pieces here. Although I haven't quite seen any N-board, although I think I did see like a precursory check does show a few N-board pieces. And we'll get to those when we get to those. But yes, the first three they set up the theme, and they also are very good as combo pieces. Let's see. And right off the bat, we got 33 points for Eclipse Wyvern. So, this is an interesting start. Well, we might see more. Anyways, we've got two normal monsters and very famous ones that actually fit the theme too. Blue Eyes White Dragon and Red Eyes Black Dragon. And it seems the recent prints are very interesting. They're very beautiful. But let's have a... Well, yeah. Because we're pressed for time, we won't go into what they look like. Everyone probably knows what they look like at this point. And if you don't, it doesn't matter too much, I don't think. I've never been into collecting the shinies. I've just been, if it can be played, it can be played. Don't care about the looks too much. Red Eyes Black Dragon is supposed to said to rival Blue Eyes. I don't quite see it, outside of the fact that it has a lot of support, especially with Dark Dragoon. But that's not here. So, yes. Because they are both sides of light and darkness of the Chaos deck, they're both normal monsters of similar level, so they're in this deck. So blue, is there a dash? I think so. Blue Eyes White Dragon and Red Eye Black Dragon. Okay. Alright. And then we have the support cards that go with them. For Blue Eyes, the White Stone of Legend. When sent to the graveyard, add a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck to the hand. And Black Dragon's Chick, formerly known as, I think it was formerly known as, Red Eyes Black Chick. I don't know. But yes. You can send this face-up card you control to the graveyard to special summon a Red Eyes Black Dragon from the hand. Both are powerful in their own right. But Black Dragon's Chick does require a bit of set-off to pull off, because it would send itself to the graveyard to special summon a Red Eyes in your hand. Though, that is powerful, but yeah, they're both the same, because White Stone of Legend only adds Blue Eyes to your hand, though there is a different Stone of Legend that possibly does more for the archetype. But here, we want to keep the balance the same, so yeah, this works. White Stone of Ancients was what I was thinking of. And now we have a few, so now we're going into the generic dragons for the deck. X Dragonute. When it attacks, When attacking, it's changed to defense position at the end of the damage step because it's a powerful level 4 monster, but that has been rendered moot. But the defense position changing could add a bit of strategy for the deck. Then there's Vice Dragon. If only your opponent controls the monster, you can special summon this card by having its original attack and defense. This is basically the dragon type Cyber Dragon. Let's see here. So yeah, so these two. All right. Okay. Let's go over this next one because the next one will show some stuff. And we have some mid-level end board pieces for each attribute. Starting with Prime Material Dragon. 20 good stats for a level 6. And it reverses any effect damage that you take while on the field. And it also allows you to prevent a destruction effect once per turn by sending a card from your hand to the graveyard. So yeah, this is a pretty good starting board. And then a more famous one, Dark Arm Dragon, which works for this deck because you do have some level of graveyard control. Let's see, it has to be special summoned by having exactly 3 dark monsters in the grave. And it lets you destroy a card in the field by banishing a dark monster in the by banishing a dark monster in your graveyard. So yeah, this guy has had a very famous past. In fact, I used him at some point and have had some success with him. So let's see. I have a feeling that these two have at least some points added to them. Tonight. All right. So, quarter review. We already see the theme in its form, and it seems to be starting strong. In fact, we already have some points, though I'm a little fearful that we might run into a lot more cards with a lot more points to them that will overturn the Genesys, but we'll just keep trekking along and see what happens. Okay. So, the next two, let's see, I think the last dragon that's in this deck, essentially, is Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, and this guy, any dragon user would want this guy. He's very powerful. Can be special summoned at any point by banishing a dragon you control. And during your main phase, you're able to special summon a dragon from the hand or graveyard once per turn. So, let's see, 1, 2, 3. So it's a level 10 with 2800 attack, but rightfully so, because, like, this guy would too easily be used as a Xyz piece. If he was like 2 less levels, he would be a powerful Xyz monster piece. So yeah, making him a level 10 was a good call. Plus, he is very good for like he makes a good combo piece as well as in a sort of side end board piece. So yeah. All right. Now, there's also some cards in this deck that serve as like while they're not necessarily dragons, they serve as side support for the archetype and still fit with the theme. First off, we got some Lightsworns in here, including a Dragon Lightsworn, Garganeth Lightsworn Dragon. Gains 300 attack for each Lightsworn with a different name in the grave. When it attacks a defense position monster, well, it does piercing damage. And during each of the end phases, you send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard, as Lightsworns do. Decent. Let's see, it's a decent stats. The attack boost is there because, just in case you want to add more Lightsworns to the deck somehow. Honestly, the most in this deck you would get out of this would be probably 2,300, maybe 2,600, due to you not having enough Lightsworns in here that would be coming out. Let me see. Go. Okay, then next. Oh, come on. Then next, we have Jade, the Lightsworn Paladin. Let's see. So during the end phase, this one would send 2 cards from the top of the deck to the graveyard. That's the Lightsworn generic effect that are shared across them. And when it attacks an opponent's monster, it gains a attack boost during that damage step. So when it's attacking, it becomes a 2,100 attack monster. Pretty decent for a level 4, but like it's just a generic Lightsworn, is all it is. And then Lila, Lightsworn Sorceress. This one sends the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard each end phase. And let's see. Okay. So this one, while in the field, you get a spell and trap card destruction by forcing it into defense position. And you would only cannot be changed until the end of your next turn. So you would only be able to get this off once every 2 turns. So it's okay. And again, it's just a Lightsworn that would allow you to get your combo started the next turn. So I'm starting to wonder about that. In any case. Now here's one that we might see a bit more use out of. Yes. So, Raikou, Lightsworn Hunter. Back in the day, it used to be that if you can play this guy, they play this guy. Flip effect. These effects occur simultaneously. You destroy a card on the field, no targeting, and you send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. This is pretty powerful with a pretty good drawback. So yeah, this one I would definitely see you wanting to keep in the deck, maybe put at 2. perhaps. There we go. All right. Then we've got some dark. Let's see. All right. Then we got some dark support. So let's see. Lord of Dragons. And that's what the D stand for. Lord of Dragons. And I'm pretty sure that there is a spell card that coincides with this guy that we'll look into later. While you have Lord of Dragons on the field, neither player can target dragon monsters on the field with card effects. This is a deceptively powerful effect, although for that reason his stats are underwhelming. Plus, Lord of Dragons himself can be easily dealt with. But it forces your opponent to use up resources to get rid of him if all they have are targeting stuff, which nowadays is, well, it's actually more common than you think, which is why the more powerful stuff is few and far between and doesn't target. Let's see. Then there's Summoner Monk. We've gone over this one. This guy lets you special summon a level 4 monster from the deck by discarding a spell. So this guy is an excellent combo piece, especially if you want to get a rank 4 monster out. Snipe Hunter. In this deck, he makes for a good combo piece. Whether or not you destroy a card on the field, you'll still be able to get some effects off from him, because his effect goes off when you, because his effect requires you to discard a card to target a card. But let's see. So yeah, very good in this deck as a combo piece. Whether or not you destroy something, it's still pretty good at that. You. And because we have a bunch of low attack monsters, that I suppose necessitates adding in Mystic Tomato, a floater that can bring them out. But it also runs. But as I keep saying about the floaters, it puts the ball in your opponent's court, and all they have to do is use an effect to snipe it out to get rid of that effect. So you're better off possibly replacing Mystic Tomato for possibly Summoner Monk. Alright, we have a few more monsters to go over, and these are pretty powerful ones, so we'll go over them and then do the halftime review. Let's see, Kaiba Man, because Blue Eyes is in here. You contribute this card to special summon Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand. It works similarly to Red Eyes Black Chick. So yeah, Kaiba Man's pretty good with that. Herald of Creation. You can discard a card to special summon a level 7 or higher monster in the graveyard. No, it doesn't special summon them, it adds them to the hand. Herald of Creation was in the last big dragon deck, so of course Herald of Creation will be in here, and this would actually be a good turn 2 combo starter. So yeah. And then, because it's a Chaos deck, of course you would have a card like Chaos Sorcerer in here. You special summon it by banishing a light and dark monster from the graveyard, and once per turn, this guy can target and banish a card on a face-up monster on the field. However, it cannot attack when it uses that effect. So, yes, a decent end game, end turn, something like something you want to facilitate to end a game or something with. If you got something powerful that you can target that you need to get rid of, pretty decent. But a lot of the big targets won't be able to be affected by Chaos Sorcerers, so this would be more of a placeholder for something bigger. Alright, as I put these next cards in, we'll go into the halftime review. So yeah, the theme is becoming a lot more apparent, and it's got a good amount of decent cards to it. I'm not seeing really that many flops outside of Mystic Tomato. And I don't think I see any points yet. Maybe not. We'll see. It's hard for me to talk while I do this. But yeah, whoever wrote the deck list for this really did a great job meshing it together. And I would like to probably get some tips from them. Alright, and now we reach the spell cards. Starting with Chaos Zone, the field spell Chaos Zone. Let's see. So this one is sort of a generic field spell for banishment strategies. Every time a monster is banished, this gets a chaos counter. You can remove 4 more to, let's see, to special summon the target if it has more or less than the amount that you did to remove. Let's see. And when this card is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you can add a light or a dark monster from the deck to your hand with a level less than or equal to the number of chaos counters that were on this card. So yes, with a lot of banishing stuff, this will get increased. However, the issue is you'll want to get into this as soon as possible, and that could prove difficult. So if you get this card late game, then it's not really going to do anything for you. Let's see, and this, I believe, is one of the few decks that doesn't have terraforming. So either get more copies of Chaos Zone or get rid of Chaos Zone. I think that would be the thing to do. Alright. Burst Stream of Destruction, because Blue Eyes White Dragon is in the deck, and if you have a Blue Eyes White Dragon on the field, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. However, there are better options than this card. Especially since you only have 1 copy of Blue Eyes White Dragon in this deck. Inferno Fire Blast, because Red Eyes Black Dragon is in this deck. And this card inflicts damage equal to the original attack of the Red Eyes Black Dragon. So this one deals burn damage. Same reason that Burst Stream of Destruction isn't that great. Possibly less so with an Infernal Fire Blast, unless your opponent is within range for a 1-turn knockout. Then I see a bit more usefulness with Infernal Fire Blast. In fact, I think I lost one or two games due to this card at some point. Okay. And then here's the card that I mentioned that involves Lord of Dragons. While you have Lord of Dragons on the field, you're able to special summon up to 2 dragon type monsters from the hand. So, yeah, this is a very good combo piece. It necessitates to have more copies of Lord of Dragons, and it makes it even more powerful. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Wingbeat of Giant Dragon. By returning a level 5 or higher dragon type monster you control to the hand, destroy all spell and trap cards on the field. Again, as I said in Burst Stream of Destruction, there are better options than this card, but it's pretty good. But due to the fact that it circumnavigates most of the problems that the other cards have. But again, those are better options. All right. Book of Moon, a standard staple, targets the face up, changes the target to face down defense position. Pretty good for stopping a bunch of your opponent's field combos. And we finally reach a card with more points. Then Magical Stone Excavation, I believe, has a lot of points to it. Discard 2 cards to return a spell from the graveyard to your hand. Very powerful, and this deck can make use for the discard effect, so it's pretty good for the deck, I believe. And we've gone a little over time here, I believe. That's what that alarm is about. And we're at the final quarter end. And so far, I only see a few spell cards that you. Well, yeah, I'm seeing quite a few spell cards that you would definitely want to replace, possibly for Fleet of Summoning Dragon, or maybe another copy of, alongside another copy of Lord of Dragons. Let's see. Now then, this one's pretty famous. Reasoning. Your opponent declares a monster level. Excavate cards from the top of your deck until you excavate a monster that can be normal summon. If that monster is the same level, let's see. All excavated cards are sent to the graveyard. If not, special summon the excavated monster, and the remaining cards are sent to the graveyard. So, yeah, this one is basically saying, alright, guess the next monster I'll run into. If you guess correctly, it goes to the graveyard. If you guess incorrectly, I get to summon it. So this is a pretty powerful card to have as a combo piece. Because either way, you'll have that monster. Because the graveyard is basically a secondary hand at this point. And we are very close to 100 points here with that. I honestly can see it having 50 points. Hell. Also, what is its name? Oh, name reasoning. Okay. Alright, Monster Gate. By attributing a monster, excavate cards from the top of the deck until you excavate a monster that can be normal summon and special summon it. I think that's an okay effect. It's a sort of a 1-for-1. Yeah, there are better options, but yeah, Monster Gate I think is okay. Is okay. And I also see it having the same amount of points as reasoning, and that puts us over. So yes, this is a bust. But let's continue the review. We have Card Trader, which has sort of become a structure deck staple. Basically, you shuffle a card from your hand into the deck to draw a card during each of your standby phases. It helps you not to brick, but this is really a win more card. Plus, if you draw into this late game when you really need something, it doesn't really help you. So, yes, far better options than Card Trader. Different Dimension Reincarnation, a Shallow Grave, I think that's what it was called, for banished monsters. No, Premature Burial is what I'm thinking of for banished monsters. You know, it special summons it back from banishment. If it's destroyed, the monster is sent back to the banished zone. No. R. Charge of the Light Brigade, because Light Sworn, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Add a level 4 lower Light Sworn monster from the deck to your hand. A pretty powerful version of Reinforcement of the Army. I can see this having some points added to it. Yep, 25 points. Further making this unable to be used in Genesys. Then we have Dragon's Rebirth. Target a dragon you control, banish it, and if you do, special summon a dragon from the hand or graveyard. Similar to Monster Gate, but it's a trap card. It's a sort of side grade to those, to Monster Gate and Reasoning. Burst Breath. Tribute Dragon type monster. Destroy all monsters on the field whose defense is less than or equal to the attack of the attributed monster on the field. A bit of an odd card. I with the dragons that are in this deck, I don't see you getting rid of that many monsters that are the big heavy hitters. I, of course, am comparing with Dark Dragoon because that has been the biggest problem I've been facing. Let's see here. All right. Call the Haunted. Let's see. Let's see. So we've got two cards that are very similar. We got Call of the Haunted, special summon a monster from the graveyard in attack position, and Escape from the Dark Dimension, special summon a dark monster from banishment. Now this one is a bit more specialized, but again, they both essentially do the same thing. All right, the final card is another generic staple of structured decks, Interdimensional Matter Transporter. Uh, Target a monster you control that gets banished until the end phase. A way to have your monster avoid a field destruction, though it also has a potential of leaving you wide open for a game end. So, sort of a wash. So, yes. This one is not Genesys ready, and it requires too many substitutions to make it Genesys viable. Um, like yeah, you would have to get rid of Reasoning and Monster Gate. Well, I don't see that as too big of a change, but yeah, it's not Genesys ready, but it's Genesys viable if you replace Reasoning and Monster Gate with some other cards that might help. And I do applaud that this deck really does do a good job of presenting a theme of Chaos Dragons. So, kudos on that front. In any case, if you enjoyed this Genesys review, be sure to hit the subscribe button and make sure the bell's ringing. Also, be sure to check out my Sure page. I'll be putting polls and events. I also stream on Saturdays. I also stream Saturday mornings on Twitch. And be sure to tune in next week. I will be going over Samurai Warlords. So, yeah, this one's a pretty big one back in the day. So, yeah. See you next time. Controlled Chaos, signing out.